Hey everybody, it is time to go low. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Go Low here with Jeff Stanislaw on AM 820, the Big 8 in Tampa, brought to you by golfersunite.com and our friends at AMAC, the Association of Mature Adult Citizens.us. That's amac.us. Today we have a special guest with us, joining with us, and it's Peter Ripa. Peter and I have known each other the last few years. We're both Copperheads, and we both worked the Valspar event. Got to know each other and got to talk on golf while we're there at the great golf tournament that Valspar puts on at the Copperhead at Innisbrook Golf Resorts. And I've discovered that Peter is actually really, really ingrained in the game of golf. So I invited Peter Ripa to join us here today at Let's Go Low Show. So thanks for joining us, Peter.
You bet, Jeff. Thanks. Appreciate it. Great catching up to a kindred in the professional golf field.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Peter, in discovering, we were just like watching the Valspar tournament, a few weeks back. We got to talking, and I found out that you were like an executive director at some golf tournaments and have a ton of experience in running large major PGA events. And so I was like, hey, Peter, why don't you come on my radio show and tell us all about it? So, Peter, maybe talk a little bit how you got started in the golf world and,
Sure.
Let's build this up to running, being a tournament director.
Yeah, we'll give the Reader's Digest version for those of us old enough to remember. But actually, had worked at Innisbrook as a kid out on the cart ramp, right there in the Copperhead, and then had one of the golf professionals go on to American Junior Golf Association and interned there through college at USF, and then joined on as a tournament director. Fast forward, and wanted to have the stability of being in one. Now that I had kids, wanted to be a little more stable and be a part of community. So as the opportunity presented, one of the tour events out there came available, and my name just kept popping up on their search, and it was for Colonial in Fort Worth, Texas, and had an opportunity to go in for interview, and had a great 5 years when I earned the opportunity to serve there. It's unique in that as tournament director, you actually work for the club at Colonial. So it's structured like the Masters, where the club owns the tournament, where most are structured to where the host organization is a 501c3, like with us with Copperhead Charity. So in San Diego, actually was a tournament director for the Farmers Insurance Open. All told, about 13 years between the two. And there worked in a similar structure that we had. And I worked for the Century Club of San Diego, which is a 501c3. And we, as the staff, actually ran the event. So we were responsible for the operations. We were responsible for the sales as well. So that was a great experience too. Incredible opportunities, but got my wife back home once the kids graduated from high school, as I promised.
Very good. Very good. So now you're back in Tampa, still giving back to the community. It's fantastic. We're talking with Peter Ripa. Peter is a Copperhead at Valspar. We just finished up the Valspar a few weeks back. He and I got to talking, and he ran as a tournament director for the Colonial and for the Farmers Insurance over a span of 13 years. And a lot of people who are fans of golf or fans of the PGA don't really understand all the interworkings of behind running an event and how networked it is to the community, how important things are. They just look at who's coming to the event and whether they're buying a ticket or going and what have you. Maybe you could spend a minute or two, Peter, and tell us about what are the most important things as an executive director for running a PGA event for success.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And it is. I mean, it is unique in that, yes, it's an individual sport, but it's also, we've got great athletes in the sport, and they're just good people that can put in front of sponsors and the community, and they really handle themselves well. So the community building is an is a very important ingredient to each one of the events, whether that be through volunteers, sponsorships, tickets, the experience on site. And with your title sponsor, certainly they pay for the national exposure. Your title sponsor pays for their objectives under, and supporting to the purse. But if you don't have a commitment with the community, I mean, the very, organically, if it's a major event in that community and has that feel where I don't even play golf and I want to be there because it is the event in March in the first quarter of the year for the Tampa Bay area, well, then you're doing things right. So that's the measure for success, is those, not only when you invite your A-list clients, every one of them return a yes from a sponsor's perspective. With hospitality, that's when it works, and that's when you've made that connection to community. Without it, and without the community support, it doesn't matter what event it is. It just, long term, that model doesn't work.
Right. This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to an episode of Let's Go Low here on AM 820. This episode is brought to you by golfersunite.com, where we bring the golfers together to, curate great opportunities and great deals for golfers, and our friends at AMAC, the Association of Mature Adult Citizens, amac.us. So, Peter, as we talk a little bit further in the intricacies of running a tournament, and you ran the Colonial and the Farmers for a few years, let's talk about the Tiger effect. I mean, you were there, running 13 years, and Tiger in his prime, and when he was in one of your tournaments and when he was not in one of your tournaments, what was the impact? I would imagine the Tiger effect is true.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I'll share a few stories. The structure of the PGA Tour events, your tickets and your concessions, that only represents, 10 to 12% of your revenue, right? But when you have a title sponsor and they are committed to the event, you're talking about 100% bump in viewership. So to have eyeballs tuning in on a Thursday, Friday, that wouldn't. But the other aspect is people just descend upon property that you wouldn't think. Like all of a sudden, I remember our Wednesday Pro-Am, we're on 14th hole and I'm bringing out something to one of our partners, and there's Andre Iguodala just shows up and he sees Tiger, right? And then it's NHL All-Star Week and you've got these three guys with the Anaheim Ducks jumping up and down like fanboys. That's my boy Tiger right there, and so to see the energy that, when he gets on site, it was one where out of nowhere, you see him, obviously the security knows and PD knows when he's getting in, and they get him there to the first tee or a practice round at the 10th tee. And it's as if all of a sudden everybody knew it instantly because 1,500 people show up from out of nowhere. You got to make sure operationally you're ready, because people just show up. They've never been on a golf course. They're just, I heard Tiger was here, and they show up and they're just running in a full-on sprint to get a glimpse. And it was one when he was in the event, there was just a different energy when you're on property. And to be honest with you, Jeff, too, I'm sure your listeners would be wondering this. We kind of knew, but you wouldn't know until about 10 minutes before, and his agent would give me a call on just, hey, we're about to commit him to that field. So you had a Tiger plan in place, but until that, and you'd love to have a 2-week runway or a 3-week runway, but it just didn't work out that way most times. When it did, if you did have a 2 or 3 week runway, now you could make hay on those hospitality and sponsorship opportunities, where if you're just the Thursday before the tournament, it's just ticket sales at that point.
Yeah, it's hard. This is Jeff Stanislaw. You're listening to Let's Go Low here on AM 820, the Big Eight in Tampa. We're talking with Peter Ripa. He was the executive tournament director for the Colonial and Farmers over a span of 13 years. We're talking about the Tiger effect. And I know when Tiger played in Valspar last, again, it was the same thing. It wasn't like much of a heads up, you know what I
Right.
mean? And you got to be reactive. You got to have Tiger plan, and then no Tiger plan. But I do know there was like a 30% lift overall in kind of everything on average when Tiger commits to
Yeah.
the field. Is that about right? Is that what you experienced when you
Well,
committed to one of your tournaments?
here's what you can, how you can frame it. So with it being unique for Valspar, for him to be in the field, you're going to get a greater incremental bump. Whereas it was kind of baked in our community's psyche that he was going to be there. So you didn't get quite the incremental jump. But like I said, with viewership, it was 100%. And that for your partners, and especially those getting exposure and those tour partners and FedEx, I mean, that was fantastic, and it's early in the year. So, yeah, I could absolutely see that at Valspar, and in a place where he didn't normally play, and he would show up, and it was amazing. And it's funny you say that because my roommate from college, he turned into a fanboy. He was on 18 videoing it. He's showing the video, and he's like, look at this, Tiger's on AT&T. So
yeah, I remember that very well because I actually, when they covered him coming up 18 on TV, and they were showing some highlight clips, I was actually walking up the fairway, like and I was in the background, so I got to tell everybody, hey, I was on TV. Watch Tiger walking. I'm right behind him over here. So
yeah,
we're talking.
People get euphoric, right? I mean, they just lose their stuff, and you're sitting there, and unless you're there, you don't appreciate how just over the top people become. And you hear grown men, "I love you, Tiger," just before a shot. You're sitting there like, okay.
Yeah, it is really interesting. We're talking with Peter Ripa. Peter is an executive tournament director for the Colonial and the Farmers Insurance, and we're talking about the Tiger effect. And we all, wish Tiger well with what he's going through now, and we all want him back in the game because he's such an important thing. But as we talk right now, we got a few minutes left. Let's talk a little bit about what you got going on, and with today's tournament. Let's talk a little bit about Live. Let's talk about the PGA. I mean, you experienced it from as an executive director. You were there talking with the people at the PGA and talking about this stuff. What are your thoughts on the whole Live thing? I know they're kind of evaluating. They cut their purse back to 6% from 10% of the PIF commitment. What do you think is going to happen? We got a few minutes left.
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, when I would point out PGA Tour, with our Copperhead Charities, we're a 501c3. So we generate, from our net proceeds, we generate for charity and support our community. And those are, Live is 100% for profit. So, but getting back to recognizing where we are with Live and thinking about where the PGA Tour is going, I mean, you have the former president of NFL Networks now running the PGA Tour, so clearly understands the schedule, doesn't want to go head-to-head against the NFL. And with Live, I think a big tell for us, even though, like Financial Times, they are not leaking something. I mean, we're not talking about National Enquirer. Like, there's got to be smoke there. But that's not the way they wanted this whole thing to play out. And that's one that they've got to, their funding is good through the end of the year, I think, is what the response has been since the rumors, which I think it would be telling where Bryson DeChambeau's deal goes, right? Do they extend that? And it was curious. I guess they had an outage during the final round, and he actually withdrew. He was a number of shots back and had a wrist injury, but are the, if there is not a extension of that relationship, might be one to watch to see, okay, are they just going to wind down operations at the end of the year? It'd be a whole lot easier PR wise to control the message in a quieter time of the year and then just fade away. And then from there, they have their announcement. So let's see how it plays out. I think certainly from the public relations perspective, it's one that's taking a little more air out of the balloon and following and being excited about that tour.
Yeah, it's we're talking with Peter Ripa, and Peter has been kind enough to join us. He was a tournament director for the Farmers and Colonial for a span of 13 years. We're talking about Live Golf and the PGA. This is Jeff Stanislaw listening to Let's Go Low here on AM 820, brought to you by golfersunite.com and our friends at amac.us. Check both those out and support our group and our organization. We got a minute left, Peter. Why don't you tell us what you're doing now? And if someone wants to reach out to you, pick your brain on this, but also you're in the real estate market. So I'd love to have you share that.
No, yeah. And then listen, so just like you, it is very rewarding to serve as a member of our nonprofit host organization, Copperhead Charities. And it was a way to be involved and knowing that I was on the other side. So our tournament director, Tracy West, I know what she's going through. I enjoy and the work. It is a grind. And with it, there's the responsibility. So to be on the other side as a member who introduces our relationships to the event is a critically important aspect to the event, because that's what pays the bills, right? So we've got revenue responsibility. So with that, it's one that's very rewarding to me and continue as I go forward. And I serve here in the community, but I now, my full-time job is as a real estate professional with Coldwell Banking, and I serve the communities of Tarpon Springs and Trinity and Palm Harbor area.
Fantastic. This is Jeff Stanislaw, and we're bringing another conclusion. Love to have you back, Peter. We got so much more we can talk about in this golf. Your experience is something that, a lot of people don't get to understand and relate to. But if you guys want to look up Peter Ripa, you can just search up Peter Ripa in Google, and you'll find him there as a real estate agent. Thank you again, Peter, and have a great day. Jeff Stanislaw saying, let's go low.
Thank you.